going to make a bow out of this. As a result of cutting off all of the bow blanks that I need out of my lumber, I'm always left with just the tag end of a piece of lumber, and this is a piece of hickory right here, and you can see that there's really not much left of this board. It is just over a ½ inch, so about 5/8 inch wide, and it's got quite the bow in it. It's 1 inch thick this direction, but as I mentioned, it's got quite a bow in it. So there's not much you can do with this piece of wood in this state, and there's really not much you can do with it in this state. But guys, I'm gonna make a bow out of this. Hang around and I'll show you how. There's that piece. I still have a real rough cut surface here, so I'll just kind of book match it to the interior smooth surface. And I'm one glue up away from having a, let's see how wide this is. 1 1/4 inches by 3/8 of an inch thick belly lamp right here. I have got things lined up here, or got my slats such that they should line up, and I have a piece of white oak backing right here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this up with EA40 on this seam. And then going to also glue it down to the white oak backing strip, and I'm going to actually do it the other way. I want my book matched surface to be my belly surface. And then once this is all glued up, or not once it's glued up, I'm going to attach it to a back set jig, right? Glue it up with a little back set in it. Not so much that I can't get in and run a taper with my tapering jig. It's going to be a straight reflex bow, and then we'll tiller it after that. But what's really going to work out well is that I'm going to mill these in advance of the glue up, so everything is smooth and ready to go. And the way I'm going to do that is by using some double stick tape. Once again, guys, I'm going to put a link in the description for this stuff. There's just no end for what this stuff can do. All right, and so I'm just going to put a few strips . All right, I've got everything taped down. So now what I can do is run this through my sander and even up this edge, so my two pieces of hickory are then the same thickness here and here, and then once they're straight or thickness sanded, I can turn it over and put a sanding layer onto my backing strip so that it is then smooth and flat. All right, guys, so I have a nice even surface between my two pieces of hickory here affixed to the backing of white oak. So now that I've got a nice flat smooth surface on the belly side, we're going to turn this over and we're going to work a smooth surface into our backing strip of white oak. Since I'm going to be gluing this up in a reflex, I'm going to go ahead and lay out my bow on the backing strip here in advance so that I don't have to worry about trying to navigate the back set of the bow stave when I'm laying out my dimensions here. So this. Okay guys, we are set up for the glue up on these hickory pieces and the white oak back. I taped the back of this so that it would go together, and you can see I've got a couple arrow shafts there to help prop it open and help me get the glue in between the two pieces, and then close it up and glue it to the backing. And then the mold is handy. I'll just strap it down to the mold and get the whole glue job done in one shot. All right, here's how we ended up. All the parts went together very well. Glued up onto the back set form that I have here. And I got clamps in place just as an insurance policy to hold everything tight for the seam that's running lengthwise down this belly piece. Alright, so you can see as part of taking that out of the mold, a lot of that reflex that we put in has come back out. So straight out of the mold, we're talking a pretty limited amount of reflex, maybe 5/8 of an inch right there. We've managed to get the tape off of the backing strip here, and you can see it's pretty clean. So backing went on smoothly. This of course is white oak. And then our hickory pieces on the underneath side, I'm not sure if you can tell in the light there. Hopefully you can. You can see that epoxy squeeze out that occurred right there on the seam between the two pieces as they came together. Since we're going to be running this through and tapering it out, I'm going to do it on the table saw tapering jig. I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to get this tape off of here because I already know it's stuck on there with the epoxy. I'm going to go ahead and take a taper out of this thing through the majority of the length of the stave here, and then remove what's left here through the grip area. Alright, so I've got initial tapering handled on both limbs here. Right up to the riser area, which I left real generous in here. It's about 12 inches worth of material right here that's just flat that I'm going to put a riser into, and then come back with the drum sander and put a final edge on these tapers. But something I wanted to point out here is a phenomenon that occurs when you glue a bow in reflex and then start removing material on the belly. So when we very first took this out of the mold, set it on the bench top here, we had 5/8 inch of reflex at the grip, and there is more there now as we start to remove wood, and we are at about 7/8 of an inch of reflex. And as tillering continues, we will actually be gaining reflex unless we do a lot to strain the limbs and take on some set. But I have had bows like this start with a certain amount of reflex and finish with even more when all was said and done. So we will follow that through the build to see how we finish out with reflex here. Decided I want to go with really kind of a self bow type appearance to this particular bow. So I'm going to match the Hickory belly with a Hickory riser. No embellishments in there. Just going to make it very straightforward and simple. The layout that I'm giving it, you can see my center line here. I have placed the grip 3/4 of an inch to one side of center line, which gives me a top limb. So we're determining the top and bottom limb right from the get. It gives me a top limb that is going to be 1.5 inches longer than my bottom limb. And on a 68-inch bow, 1.5 inches difference is probably just about right. And that's going to naturally give us some positive tiller. The arrow pass will be about 1.25 inches above center. So that's that grip design that I'm going to lay out. From here, it's about just grinding out and getting everything blended together on the drum sander here. Run this through the drum sander. Got the fades worked into the riser here. So really it's just ready to shape out on its profile shape. I usually don't get this far along in the build and not have the limbs shaped out. So a quick trip to the bandsaw, and here we go. We are cut out to shape and ready to tiller. You can kind of see here on this tip the two separate pieces of wood. Take a look on this side too. Let's see what we can. It's not as evident over here, but when you check out the belly, it becomes even more difficult to see the two pieces glued together. All right, you can kind of see the glue line right here, and a little more apparent right here where they don't match up evenly. That makes it apparent. But by and large, it has the appearance of a single piece of wood on that belly. The back is in pretty good shape. Remember, I've got a white oak back on a hickory belly here. At this point, we're just going to tiller her up. So guys, this is the tough part, was getting to this stage. Tillering it from here is going to be the simple part, not to be confused with easy, because it is going to take some work, of course. But it's already floor tillering very easily. I'm sure I could put a string on it and get it to string height even right now. And maybe even be in danger of being under hunting weight. Maybe in that 40 to 45 pound class. We'll see. May have to pike the tips a little bit to get her up to weight. But in any event, Guys, appreciate your time and attention. We will tackle the tillering piece next week.